Okay, we're going to start making the meatloaf by combining 1 cup of Panko breadcrumbs and a ½ cup of milk in a bowl. And I'm kind of wondering if my cup is leaking. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stir that up until we know that all the breadcrumbs are moistened with the milk. Okay, and we're going to let that set aside for about 10 minutes while we do a couple other things. Okay, in our frying pan, we're going to add a tablespoon of olive oil. Okay, our oil looks hot, so we're going to add a cup of finely chopped up onions. And we're just going to stir those around until they're just starting to get translucent. What we don't want to do is burn them. This recipe comes from Sam on Sugar Spun Run, which is one of my favorite cooking sites. Her recipes are always delicious. I think that's probably enough of that. And now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And we heat that until it's fragrant, which should be about 30 seconds. So we're just about there. Yep. Then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. And 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. Actually, I got that in the wrong order because we should have added 2 tablespoons of tomato paste before that liquid. And a tablespoon of light brown sugar goes in this time also. Now what we're looking for is for the tomato paste to darken in color. It's recommended to use 85% lean ground beef, but my store didn't have that. So I have 80%, which will work. We're likely to get a little more grease. Okay, this is quite a bit darker than it started out. So I think we're going to call that good at this point. Maybe give it another just a couple more minutes. And the milk is all absorbed in here. Yeah, we're going to call that good. And we dump that into our Panko crumbs. And we stir that all up. Okay, now what we want to do is take just a couple of chunks like this big, put them in here, and mix them in. Sam calls this tempering, like when you temper eggs. And she actually uses a whisk to do this. So I'm going to try that. I think her whisk is coarser than mine, so I'm not sure this is going to work well, but we'll give it a shot. What we're shooting for is to have everything really well incorporated. And then we're going to add all our spices, which is salt, dried parsley, dried oregano, crushed red pepper, black pepper, and onion powder. We'll whisk that together some more. Then I'm going to add 2 eggs at room temperature. Let's give the whisk another shot now that we've got something a little more fluid in it. And that worked quite a bit better. Okay, what we're going to do now is add the rest of our 2 pounds of ground beef. And we're going to work it by hand now until it's just mixed, because we don't want to overwork it, because we could end up with some dry meatloaf and we don't want that. All right, now I'm going to wash my hands again and prepare the pan and then get it in the oven. Okay, I've got my pan ready, and what you notice, we're not using a loaf pan. This is just a regular cookie sheet lined with tin foil to catch all the grease so it's easier to clean, and a piece of parchment paper on top of that. And we're going to pour our meatloaf onto that. Get it all out because we don't want to lose any of it. Now, I've never made a meatloaf without using a loaf pan before. But it makes sense to me, because in the loaf pan, the grease just puddles, so you end up with a lot of melted fat that your meatloaf is sitting in. And in this manner, that doesn't happen, because the grease can get away from the meatloaf. And what we're doing here is we're going to make it approximately the same size as it would be in a loaf pan. Which is about, it might be a little smaller than a loaf pan, but it should be about 4 inches by 9, I think. We're going to call that good. Well, Sam includes a recipe for a glaze, which I'm not using, but I am putting Sweet Baby Ray's sweet and spicy on one end of the meatloaf. My wife's not crazy about barbecue sauce, so I'll just put it on my part. And there, that's ready to go in a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes. I'll see you when it's done. Okay, the meatloaf is done. It's not setting in a lake of grease. That's all in the pan, pretty much underneath it. And we're about to cut into this and try it. That's pretty good. If you make this, I think you'll enjoy it. Check out this video right here.